Contreras, and you're watching The Fighter's Voice.
The Fighter's Voice.
Welcome, fight fans,
to the Fighter's Voice Kick-Ass Podcast.
Your Fight Talk Authority.
Not to mention the most entertaining and talked about podcast with your kick-ass host, Richard Ortiz.
You mad? Come at me, bro.
And his loyal kick-ass co-host, Senor Cole Escovedo.
Streaming live and worldwide.
Coming to you all the way live from a little place somewhere in Cali. The Fighter's Voice.
Kick-Ass Podcast.
Fresno, California. We're live here in Mad Production Studios in Fresno, California. The Fighter's Voice, the only voice that matters, kick-ass podcast. If you're not around, you probably got your ass kicked. Just to let you guys know, the co-host with the most, the UFC veteran himself, Mr. Cole Escovedo. He's on assignment right now. He has big plans for you, and he'll be in contact with you Friday with all the UFC picks. Speaking of UFC, man, I wonder who I'm going for this Saturday. You know, we'll be talking about it on the show. But before I go any further, man, I want to introduce our guest. Because, you know what? Our guest is old school, no school. I don't want to say no school. He knows his school, and he's no fool, plain and simple, period. The man has opened doors in Fresno, California for those that want to learn boxing, those that want to learn how to defend themselves, and those that want to lose weight, get in shape, and just walk around with that confidence. He owns the gym, Heartbeat Boxing in Fresno, California. He's a father, a trainer, and a husband, and he makes time, devotes his time to his son, who we have on the show today, the one and only Valentino Altigre Reese is in studio, and also Gilbert Reese, Sr. So I say senior because is there a junior?
There is Andrew Gilbert. That's my older son. He's 34 years old, but no junior, not yet.
Okay.
Not that I know of. Right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
But thank you for having us on, man. We're just really excited. Things are happening with boxing, and we love Richard Ortiz, and we just really appreciate all the things that he's doing. And we just really appreciate the show, and we watch it, and we're excited, man.
Well, a lot of people don't know, man. I mean, your knowledge for the sport, man, is just over the roof. Because we've had conversations without a microphone on us. My mic is blasting, but it's all good. And just your knowledge for the game and the stories that you tell, man. And I started listening to this thing, and I started thinking to myself, man, this is content we need to get out to all the viewers, the fans, and all the followers in Fresno, California, and nationwide. And also I want to talk about, before I go any further, is Altigre, my man.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good because you see fighters, and when they go and compete, they usually have their whole team there, their mom and dad there, even their ninos, their ninas, everybody. And there's times when they can't make it. You can't make it, and he still goes into the ring with all that weight on his shoulders, and he competes at a high level, man. Well, I mean, how does that make you feel, man? I mean, your father's raised you right.
Yeah, all my fights, he's been there in my corner. I think it gives me some sort of comfort that he's there instead of just, someone else, like another trainer or somebody else. Just like when you're in the ring, you're getting busted up, you get a bloody nose, tears in your eyes, and you walk back to your corner. Who do I see? I see my father. And it gives me some sort of comfort, and it, like, calms all the nerves down, and I just go in there, handle business. And even sometimes he's not there, I have him in my heart, have him in my mind. He's telling me to go at it and do my job.
Oh, yeah, and even before you go on there, he lets the whole world know, hey, my son's going to be competing at this time. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you stream, and you're there. And he's there, man. He probably, there's no camera on him, but he's probably biting his nails, drinking a beer, doing 12 Hail Marys at the same time, and just, he's nervous for you, but he's excited at the same time, man.
Yeah, I think the nerves have gone down, like, over the years since he's seen me compete. Like, my first fight, my mom and my dad were there. They were, like, shivering. They were like, what is he going to do? What is he
your
gonna
mom
do?
also plays a role, man. I mean, she handles the gym. I mean, it's Team Reese in the house.
Oh, yeah.
Because when you walk inside the gym, you're greeted every single time there. When you leave, everybody wants to make sure that, hey, that there's eye contact and that you're welcome there. And I want to talk to you because you're always in shape, you're always in condition, and that's because I want to talk about one of your talents that your father has, and that's a cook. Not just a cook like at a quinceañera. I'm talking about a cook to get your fighters ready to compete.
Exactly.
He knows what you put, because what you put in is what you put out.
Exactly.
Plain and simple, period.
Yeah, so he's been a chef for over 30 years, over 39 restaurants, casinos, restaurants, fast food. So, like, he knows all his foods and nutrients. He knows what I like, what I don't like. And even if I don't like, he's like, you better eat it, boy. It's good for you. But, it's mandatory to know what you eat because if you're eating fast food every day and you want to be an athlete or something, you
Yeah.
know, you're not going to get the performance you want. But since he knows my body, he knows my type, he knows what I like, what I eat, what's good for me, he just puts it all together and he has like this recipe. Oh, here's what he eats, what time, what nutrients he needs. But you know, it tastes good.
Hey,
I like
he's
it.
looking after you, man.
That's
So-
right.
So, when did when did you start cooking, man? When did you realize you got a gift to cook? And I'm not talking about going home back in the day and just making a tortilla with butter, and you know when you eat it and it rolls down your arm, you know that's a good taco right there. Yeah, exactly.
You know, I had a class in Reedley. It was an ROP class. It was a food service class, and I started cooking there. But I managed my first restaurant when I was 17 years old. One of the chefs got fired, and they made the breakfast cook the chef. And then 3 days later, that guy quit, and they gave me the reins of the
Did you say
restaurant.
made the breakfast cook the chef?
Yeah, they made him.
or make the chef cook the breakfast.
Yeah.
But sometimes that happens
Yeah,
too.
it happens all the time. You know, somebody
That's okay,
gets
bro. I
fired.
talk like that too after a couple cold ones. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
People,
All good.
People get run off, and then they're just looking for somebody to take over the house. And
Yeah.
they picked me. And in 32 years, I've worked in 39 restaurants, all the way from Las Vegas,
gosh.
Sacramento, Paso Robles, and here in Fresno. And you know, I learned a lot of recipes, and I try to pick the foods that my boy likes.
Yeah.
And it's not so much it's about quality and quantity. And
hearing
so
you.
we have to keep them at 101
Do you have
pounds.
nicknames or do you have names for your plates?
All of them.
Like I'll take the knockout and extra fries. Or, I mean, you know what I mean?
You know, I had a dish on my restaurant. I owned a restaurant in Sangre. It was called West of the Rio Cafe, and there was a dish we call it chicken a la chingada.
Oh, wow.
And people would come in and say, "What is it?" I go, "Well, there's a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a whole lot of this." And but we had another dish that I named after my son. It was called the Andrew sandwich, and it was a sandwich that I made especially for him.
Yeah.
And he loved it, and we would sell it in my restaurant. So every dish had a history.
Yeah.
And so we were really tight grips on this boy and what he eats. Sometimes I'll go to his room and I'll find a bag of Takis somewhere, and I'm thinking, where
Okay.
did this kid get that
Yeah.
stuff, man? You know what I mean? But a lot of people don't realize that there's one ingredient in the food that is processed, and that is, what is it, Val? Red color, what?
Oh, red 40.
Red 40. And that's one thing you do not want to eat. You don't
Red
want it.
40.
Red 40. You look at labels, and red 40 is poison to the body. But it's in everything that has a red coloring. And I tell him, Mom, she checks everything. And it's, red 40 is the one thing that we try to, it's like a drug to kids and adults. And,
Red 40, huh?
Red 40 is bad.
Sounds like a beer, though, man. Red 40. Because when you hear 40 ounce, you're thinking of Cerveza, you're thinking of beer, and Red 40.
Red 40. That is
Heartbeat
bad.
boxing, Red 40. You know what I mean?
That's a killer name, huh?
That's what it is.
And so I tell him, I said, you know, it's hard for him. You know, I used to take him to, we used to go to Taco Bell. And we'd walk in, and it was a big treat. And he's jumping off the walls. Like, I get so embarrassed to take him.
Like almost going to
because
Disneyland.
He's going crazy on Taco
Yeah.
Bell. And the people would say, what is wrong with this kid? Well, he doesn't eat Taco Bell. And so Taco Bell was like, if, you know, he got straight A's or if
Yeah.
he did something, it was Taco Bell. But, you know, that's how he was raised, on good food. And we try to keep him in shape. And it's hard because he's growing. He went from a 90-pounder to a 101-pound. And that 101-pound weight class is one of the hardest and the most, has a lot of the most fighters in it, because that's the weight where they travel. And they make the team and they travel. the
Let's
United
talk
States.
about that team, and let's talk about that division too. Let's talk about these belts right here,
Mm-hmm.
because I noticed there was something posted that now he's ranked nationwide, worldwide, man.
Yeah.
And let's talk about this first bout. Which one means the most to you? I know every single one
Yeah.
does, but
Yeah.
I've seen you with several bouts. But why did you bring these two today?
Well, this one was my first one. It was from a show in, I believe it was San Joaquin and no, Lemoore. And it was in 2018, and it was I fought this guy for a rematch, and I was the last bout, and I was dreading that whole day. We had a couple of fighters there. We weighed in, we ate some good food, and I found out I was the last bout. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, you don't want to wait this long. You want to get in, fight, and get out.
Yeah.
So I fought this guy, and I went out after the fight. I went outside, and they were like, hey, Val, come inside. They're giving out fight of the night. I was like, I have to go in. I went in. They called my name, and they were like, here you go. Here's your bell. You got fight of the night. I was like, what, for real? This was my first one, so I think
Well,
this
that's
one
cool,
is
man.
for a little sentimental value. And then the second one right here is this I got at Kerman Fair at my dad's show. He picked this belt. I was like, Dad, if I fight, you gotta get a fight of the night belt, but can I pick it? And then he picked it out without me, and I was like, okay, I like this one.
That's a great pick, man. We need to get like,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
we're giving out belts. We need to give like announcer of the night or
There you
something.
go,
know what I
there
mean?
you go.
Or,
That's
or-
right.
or dad of the
Yeah,
night.
there
And
you
then, you
go.
know, have a contest too. Hey, we'll take taco of the night and
Yeah.
get all the like all the grandmas making tortillas and stuff, and we'll be like the judges. You know, how you
Right.
got the judges around the ring.
You know,
we'll be
I-
the judges around the freaking table, man.
We
and just
love
throwing them down.
We love Richard when he announces our fights, and we've had him several times. We had him at our gym a couple of times. We're throwing some benefit fights for the police officers. Last year, we traveled about 25 times last year, and we took our team to compete here in California. And you know, a lot of fighters and trainers, they don't really understand the amateur game. I had someone tell me, "Oh, it's a poor man's sport," and I said, "Bullshit! It's not a poor man's sport. This costs, you know."
Are
to go-
those tournaments free?
no,
we're not.
they're
No, we're
not. They usually to go to the East Coast, it costs us about $3,000 just to go for a week. Week. I say vacation, but it's a week traveling, airfare, and hotels, and then food. And then a lot of times when the parents go, they got to take a week off of work. So
Yeah.
it's very expensive. And a lot of parents don't want to send their kids to the East Coast by themselves.
No.
And so they want to go. And it's not always the best fighter that's there. It's the fighter that can afford to go and the fighter that their parents are allowing them to go. And so I got to give it to a lot of these coaches there. A lot of them are volunteers. A lot of them don't own gyms. Boxing is my business. This is what makes me a living. And a lot of coaches are volunteers, and they're out there. They're out trying to raise money to go to these tournaments. And I got to give it to them because they're dedicated. They're dedicated themselves. A lot of the trainers, a lot of the referees are volunteers.
Well, your gym is just not a regular gym. I mean, you've had in your gym not once but twice, arguably the pound for
Yeah.
pound, 147 pound for pound man. We're talking about Bud Terrence Crawford.
Yes, he was there
I mean, Terrence
twice.
Bud Crawford in there.
Yeah, he was there.
So he liked
came-
it the first time he came back.
Well, you know, a lot of times fighters in their last week, we had Jamal Herring. He came when he fought at the St. Mark Center, and then when he defended his title, he trained
Yeah.
at our gym for the week. But they don't. The last week of training is not about getting in shape. It's about mental.
Yeah.
And they came and they liked our hospitality, and we have a picture of him. He did a backflip off of my ring. He did a backflip off the ring, landed on the floor.
Oh, wow.
Terrence Crawford did that. But, you know, it's really cool that he came. And then Jamal was at the Nationals, and he was at ringside with my son's fight.
Yeah, I saw that picture.
And that was a
Oh,
really
he
cool
did,
thing.
yeah.
What did I don't mean to interrupt.
No,
Pops.
go
Did
ahead.
he give you any advice or anything? What was it like meeting him?
The first time he came, he was real nice, real cool guy. He showed me a couple of moves, and so did his coach. And then the second time he came, we were like, "Oh, buddy." I was like, "Hey, how's it going? How's boxing going?"
There you go.
And the same did Terrence Crawford. And when I seen him at I didn't find out he was gonna go to the fight until USA Boxing posted the Louisiana banner. They were
Yeah.
like, "This is gonna happen this date." And I seen on a comment it said, Jamel Herring. He said, "I'm gonna be there." And I said, "What?" And I commented. I said, "At Jamel Herring, I'll see you there at Heartbeat Boxing." And like a couple hours later, he liked my comment. I was like, "All right." So I got there in Louisiana. He was right there watching the fights
Nice.
the day I was fighting. And I said, "Hey, how's it going?" We took a picture. Remember who I am? And then right when I got in the ring, there's like a little, like a fence. And he's right here just leaning on the fence, watching my fight.
That's good,
taking
man.
videos. And I was just like, that was pretty cool.
Hey,
That's pretty
man,
cool.
supporting.
Yeah.
And he remembers.
That's right. Yeah. and
Well,
he-
he's one of us, man. He's down
Yeah.
to earth. Actually, I texted him today about coming on the show next week. Or
Oh,
calling anyways.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, a nice guy, nice team, and
Oh, yeah.
they're doing things in boxing the way it needs to be done.
Oh yeah, they do it the real professional
Yeah.
way. The last time he came, he left a pair of his wraps that he used in his gloves and just left
Yeah.
them there for us. He signed them. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's a cool deal
Yeah.
right there, man.
That was a really cool thing. We the fight when he was defending his title, it was a really cool thing. And somehow, one way, we got to the back, and we were with the entourage, and everybody jumped on the Humvee. I don't know if you
Yeah.
remember that.
Yeah.
And there was 2 spots. They were reserved for 2 Mexican boys from Fresno, and it was me and my son. We jumped on the tailgate.
There you go. So what did
and-
it say? It said reserve. It said 2 Mexican
No,
boys, or
two-
you just said, you
2
know what?
Mexican. They're ours, man.
And so yours, yeah, exactly. So your son learned. He said, "Come on, mijo, let's go." What do you mean? Just come on, let's go. You want something, you get it.
Yeah.
Just blend in. Just
There it is.
smile.
There it is.
Well, this is
Yeah.
this is what happened. My dad was talking to the owner of the Grizzly Stadium, and he said my dad was like real flamboyant. He was like, "Hey, can I use the restroom?" And so he took him all the way to the back and used the restroom. And then he found the Jamel Herring's crew, and he stayed there. And
Smart man.
And
Yeah.
then I found the co-owner of Grizzly Stadium. I was like, "Hey, can I use the restroom?" The restroom, and he still said, "Yeah, just go down there." So I went down to the restroom, and I followed the little path, and I made the right. And there was these 2 guys standing in the corner, like, "Excuse me, sir, where do you think you're going?" I said, I'm looking for the restroom. And then I made a left, and there was my dad, Jamel Herring, his whole crew. And my dad was like, "Hey, how'd you get back here?" And I said, "You really think you're going to let you walk with them alone? Come on now."
There
Yeah.
you go, man. You want something, you go get it.
Exactly.
And so it was such
Pops
a,
was that
yeah.
example.
Oh man,
Yep.
it was so surreal seeing the fight in Fresno, the way
Yeah.
it happened, and we just want to thank a lot of the people that made it. Rick Merigian, he was able to give us tickets, and he gave us tickets for our whole crew and a bunch of our members, and we just had a great night. My family was there at ringside, and we were able to enter the ring. And it was just a great night for boxing in Fresno. And I've been in this thing and involved with boxing since 1978. And a lot of people that have been, a lot of coaches, they're no longer here,
Yeah.
man. It's been a long time coming.
I'm glad you brought that up. Let me ask you a question. How has it changed from when you started in boxing to today?
Well, money. I seen this coming. Everybody, there's a lot of fighters that are signing contracts right now. We have, I think Mark Castro just signed a contract. I'm not sure who he signed with, but he had a post that he was on a private jet. And I had told his dad a couple years ago, I go, you're going to be traveling in jets all over the world. Your boy's going to win the title,
Yeah.
and you're going to be everywhere. And he goes, yeah, right. And I said, yeah, it's going to happen for you. Richard Torres out of Tulare.
Yeah.
I know his father very well. His grandfather was a really
Yeah.
good friend of mine. And
A grandfather's name, was it Manuel?
Manuel Torres, and he was one of the founding fathers of the association
Right.
of USA Boxing, one of the first presidents. And a lot of guys, Mario Zamaripa, Pat DeFura, who was contracted through Angelo Dundee. He got all this money from
Jesse Renteria?
Jesse was in there. Jesse is a good friend of mine out of Madera.
Yeah.
And he was one of our biggest. We had a grudge going on between Sanger. I was one of the founders of the Sanger
Okay.
Boxing Club, and we would fight all the time each other. And but it goes back a long time, and a lot of the old timers are gone. They're all gone.
Yeah.
And but I had my first fight in 1978, and we fought at in San Joaquin. A lot of us didn't have mouthpieces, no cups, no headgear, and it was all betting. It was all it's like a cockfight.
These underground or what?
No, this was
Who's
a
the governing
sanction-
body? Who's sanctioning
well,
this stuff,
sometimes
man?
it wasn't.
Oh,
it
sometimes
it was just a show to make money.
They had that red 40, whatever.
There you
They
go.
were just kept slamming, and they said,
We're
you know what? Let's
slamming
just
it.
make it happen.
But it was so crazy. We were in San Joaquin, and I remember that day. It was a hot summer day, and I remember when the ref would come and he slap you on the nuts and he say, "You got a cup on?" And if you didn't have one, it was ouch. Or it was my first fight. They weighed us on a cattle scale, where they weigh cattle.
Oh, dang,
And
man.
and the way they made the matches was all the clubs would get around the scale. And then they
During
put
this
it-
time, was Brad Pitt walking around or something? Is this Fight Club or something?
It was
What's going
man.
on here,
Yeah, you
man?
step on the scale, and then it was like an auctioneer would come out. He goes, "Okay, we got a 120-pounder, 120-pounder. Anybody got a 120-pounder?" And everybody knew your weight. So they look at you, and okay, here you go. And there was no
wow.
matchmaking. You step on the scale, and then you look at your guy, and that guy could have 100 fights, and you'd be your first fight, and there you went in. And
Damn.
so it was pretty wild, man. It was the Wild West. During that fight, there was like a riot in the crowd. Some guy got stabbed. There was a house burned down. It was just pandemonium that whole day.
All this way to compete inside the ring.
Yes.
My
It's
gosh.
crazy.
I've heard some stories, my
Yeah.
gosh, but I mean, Cal's involved, and you know, referee. You should take a point away from the referee.
Yeah.
He hit you low, right? I mean, what kind of shit is that?
But it was I remember I fought this kid that was it was in Mendota, and it was during their festival, and the kid's
Yeah.
nose was plastered to his face, man. He was about 13 years
man.
old. He could barely say a sentence without slurring his speech.
Yeah.
But
It's
I
out there. It
remember I
happens,
fought
man.
him, and he knocked me out of the ring. And the only reason I didn't go all the way through the ropes is the referee caught my leg. And I remember when I was looking outside, I was hanging outside the ring, and he's holding onto my leg, pulling me back in. I was like, dang, man, that kid hit me so hard, man. And I heard bells. I thought it was the bell telling me to stop, but it was a bell in my head, man. It was like, but it was just wild, man, wild. And then it got better.
Yeah.
And the association, I was a part of the AAU. That was the sanctioning body, AAU. And then it went to the USBF, United States Boxing Federation. And then it went to USA Boxing. I think it was at 80 or 81. But I remember I was fighting in the Junior Olympics. And when I went to register, give them my name, they asked me, who are you? And I go, well, I just fought. This is a region I'm fighting.
Yeah.
And they go, we don't have you in the system. I go, well, I paid my money. And so the guy that was the president at that time, he had took all the kids' money, and all the kids had to re-register right there on the spot
man.
to fight.
What kind of stuff is
It's
that,
just
man?
some crazy stuff, man. But that guy is no longer, he's been banned for life for USA Boxing. He can never come back.
Yeah.
But that's how crazy
Dang.
it was. But sometimes we'd fight 2 times
Well,
in a
thank
night.
God that everything's all certified now and everything's
Oh,
in
very
the up
safe.
and up, except for I don't agree with a lot of the decisions by the judges. I'll just say that. I'll keep that real, and I know I don't stand
It
alone on
happens
that.
all the time,
I know.
and you know we've done a lot. My son has been through a lot of heartbreak and losses, and just a lot of bad decisions. And you know we just had a bad decision the other day. I had 2 fighters. They stopped the fight. The referee clearly just stopped it because my guys weren't even hurt, and we're at a casino. And man, I got so upset because it had got to a point where I couldn't handle it anymore.
Wow.
Man, my chest was. I wanted to jump over that ring and just.
Oh,
pound that guy.
I've seen fathers, coaches, and just fans, and just like, I mean, they let you know I'm not pleased with this, and,
Yeah.
and they were irate.
Yeah.
And things can happen, man. So you got to be real careful, man, on some of these judges,
Yeah.
well, let me say, on some of these decisions
Yeah.
that are coming forth, man, because
They're very controversial.
especially when you know someone close to you is trained their butt off and all the dedication they put, and just to get robbed
Well,
or
you
not
know-
go the way that it needs to go.
I wouldn't mind if they got robbed during a fight. At least they got to fight. But when they
Yeah.
don't even get the chance to fight and they expel them right there, they stop the fight. It makes you mad because they don't even get a chance, and that's what makes me mad. But I tell my fighters, I say, you know what? I don't want to hear you crying if you lost.
Yeah.
If you're not knocking them out, I don't want to hear it. So fight to knock them out.
Right to the point. Do you hear that? Do you hear that from your dad, Valentino? What do you hear? What advice does your dad give you right when you're leaving the dressing room? You're all wrapped up. You're ready to go. You're bout number 5. You're in there. You're about to be introduced. What advice did he give you leading up there?
He says to me that he says I'm the best. He gives me confidence. He says go in there, punch to kill, punch to hurt, try to knock him out, try to stop him in the first round. And he gives me a lot of usable tips that he did back in the day, like, or even when I'm in the ring after the first round, he's like, oh, he's open to the body or he's open to the head. But before the fight, I'm usually resting, getting pumped up, and he's usually just saying, you're the best. You're number 1.
We're doing the lucha libre or lucha. What is that?
Nacho Libre.
Nacho libre.
Oh, my gosh.
You're Ramses
You
is
mean you're
number
eating,
1.
You're eating corn and stuff, and you're knocking
right.
it down, and
You know, remember the scene where Ramses is getting the
Yeah.
and he said Ramses number 1. How do you
yeah,
do it?
he
You
was
do
he
it
was,
perfect.
he was putting it in his head, yeah, psyching
And
him out.
You're just psyching him out, trying to get him to really get pumped up for the fight and get that adrenaline pumping. And you know, I've cornered about, I would say, at least 500 fights.
That's a lot of fights,
And I've
man.
trained about 1,000 kids. And you know what's really great about having a boxing gym? You never know who's coming in. You never every fighter comes in, they have a dream, and I like to listen to that dream.
Yeah.
Because when someone walks in that door and they want to fight, I see dollar bill signs because I'm a trainer and I charge.
So where are you located? If somebody wants to join your gym, or they're hearing or watching this podcast and they want to come and walk in, where are you located at?
We're at 155 Van Ness. And not everybody's going to be a fighter. You know,
There we are, right there.
155 Van Ness, downtown Fresno. And, you know, everybody wants to have that chance. Maybe have an amateur fight.
Exactly. And you hit it right on the money. Not everybody's going to be a fighter. Sometimes they can be a fighter and a lover.
Right.
We got some pictures. Because my man, when he's not in the ring putting bouts around there, he seems to make his way around the women, around the females.
Hey.
And I'm talking about, boom, that's what I'm talking about right there. But it doesn't stop there. It just continues to go on and on. I think you got a winning streak right there, man. I mean, no female will say, if you're going to come to an event, leave your wife at home, leave your old lady at home, your girlfriend
You
at
got
home.
me right there. I thought you were going to show me. I go, okay.
Exactly. Oh, no, I got some stuff on you too,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you know, the fighter's voice, you know, the only voice that matters, man.
Amen, man.
We got a great team. They do their research. They make it happen. No, I do got you, but you got a couple 40s around you. And
There
I'm not
you
talking
go.
about the
That
red
happens.
ones
That
either.
happens. Yeah.
I don't got a
Right.
problem with that
Yeah.
because they're victorious 40s.
Yeah,
they're
yes.
they're celebrating
There you
after
go.
the job is done.
You know.
Why not relax?
You know,
Exactly.
we have a really good time. You know, people told me I was crazy opening a gym downtown. People, I had other businesses and I got rid of those businesses to concentrate on what I loved. And a lot of my friends and my people that I worked with, they all said I was crazy, and I said, you know what, I've done crazier things, but you know, everything is for a reason,
Yeah.
and we've been really blessed downtown, and we're open from 6 in the morning till 9 o'clock at night, Monday through Thursday. Friday we close at 5 o'clock, and then from Friday till Monday we don't answer the phone, but we also have a.
Oh, is that what it was? Is that when I called you?
Yeah, you
I
call.
called you and I
I
said,
don't
man,
use the
this dude
cell
don't
number.
even freaking
Yeah.
answer the
Yeah.
phone. I go, what's wrong with this dude, man?
But you know, it's time for family, and it's time where we really we travel. We go. We're either at a boxing match or we're just spending time with the family,
Yeah.
and that's what it's all about. And but boxing, it does it for me, and we do a lot of things. We promote fights. We amateur fights, and
Yeah.
we got a big show coming to the Tower Theater in September the 8th, I believe.
Okay.
And you're on that card. I don't know if I talked to you about it yet, but
No, you
yeah, but you have no.
Well, who am I fighting? Am I in the blue corner or the
Yeah,
red corner?
yeah.
I'm gonna get in shape, man. Let me know.
Yeah, we got
You
a lot
never
of
know.
things we're working on. There's one thing that we're working on. It's called Battle of the Bars, Brews, and Brawls. And what we're
Oh,
doing
wow.
we're doing an inner-city tournament, and we're getting just a local Joe that's at a bar hanging out, and he wants to fight. We want to train him for 90
Damn, I
days.
know a couple of those.
And cut him loose. You know, everybody
Yeah.
has a tough guy at a bar. You know, I was in bar business. I own bars. I manage bars, and there's always a tough guy there that talks too much.
Exactly.
And we want-
they're always undefeated. Their record grows.
Yes,
and
yes.
sometimes they got more knockouts than fights.
That's
You
the
know
guy I
what I'm
want.
saying?
That's
Yeah.
the guy I want. And we want to put him in the ring, and it's going to be a novice tournament, no
Yeah.
fights. And at the end of the year, we're going to have a championship fight.
You gonna have
at the
security
Tower
there, man?
Theater. Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
It's
Now,
going to
just-
be
just
tough.
making sure,
Yeah,
man.
but I think that there's a big market there, and we're looking for the best fighter that's sponsored by the bar or the brewery or
there
a
you go.
company, and that's where
Yeah.
the brawls come in. We want the company guy that wants to come, and everybody has a dream to get in the ring. And
So if they want to compete, can they get a hold of you?
Yes,
they get a
they
hold
get
of
a
you.
hold
How
of
do they
me.
get a hold of you? Through Heartbeat Boxing?
Heartbeat Boxing, our website.
What's the number there so they can call you directly?
It's 445-1050, and or just Google Heartbeat Boxing, and you'll see what we're about. It will come up. It's the first listing, and it's here in Fresno.
Make sure you're clear, because you're saying these guys at a bar and fighting. They may just show up and say, "Okay, I'm here to drink.
No, no.
I'm gonna outdrink my
It's not.
opponent today."
No, no,
okay,
it's gonna
that's what
be-
you said on
Uh-huh.
Richard Ortiz on the Fighter's Voice podcast.
What we want to do is,
I may get in that one.
every bar has a bar.
Hey, I know you
genre.
can. I know you can hang on that
Yes.
one, Gilbert. You know what I mean?
Well, there's a
because you're
masters-
undisputed on
well,
that.
I'll tell you one. There's a masters division. It's over 40.
Yeah.
And we want to be able to get the guy that we want to transform his body in 90 days. So if he's serious
like
about
this. I like
changing,
where it's going.
changing his image for the new year, and you get a lot of athletes that go to bars on the weekend,
Yeah.
and they want to fight, and that's where the sale is at. You want to fight, you got 90 days to get ready. You got to go on a 90-day boot camp. If I have to cook for you, if I have to, you're gonna come and train at our gym, so I know that you're training.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna get anybody off the street and just throw them in the gym. I want to see them in the gym, and the bar will sponsor them.
Yeah.
And it's a 90-day program, and then we show up a fight. We're gonna have a fight at my gym, and we're gonna be a sanctioned event.
I like where it's going.
It'll be a sanctioned event, so it's there's gonna be a doctor at ringside, and there's gonna be
a real
judges.
doctor. We're not talking about a curandero
No,
there
no,
with a chicken's
real
foot
doc-
and
has
stuff,
to
and
be-
like
has to be a
putting Vicks
doctor.
all over him and stuff, and telling him he's gonna be okay.
It has to be
It's
a doctor.
legit. Exactly. No,
and
I'm just giving
you've
you a
seen
hard
these
time.
fights.
I know.
Yeah. And so that way it's a safe fight, and it goes to the judges, and if they win, it's a box off, so they go to the next fight. And at the end of the year, we'll have our championship fight at the Tower Theater, and you've been there.
liking that.
You've
Yeah.
seen that.
Yeah, I've
and
seen
so
it.
we've got the contract signed. We're ready to sign it, and it's going to be a big thing.
Gilbert, you always put on a professional show. I've been there when you had press conferences, professional press conferences. Top Rank Boxing has done a press conference
Right.
there. Was it Cajas?
Akajas.
Akajas was
yes,
there.
that's
Yeah,
ESPN.
Jerwin Akajas was there.
Yes.
He was the headliner there.
Yeah.
And I said his name because I remember during the radio show they gave me his names, and I said, "Hey man, I need more time on this because I'm not gonna just shatter his name."
Yeah.
So I'll tell you a story. I just went over there. Top Rank is there. I guess their spokesperson wasn't there, and these were all names I didn't even want to touch. Right.
Right.
And it was Lee Samuels. He said, "Hey, I need you in the ring. I need you to introduce these guys." And we're talking about a Hall of Famer.
Right.
And I'm just okay. Talking about I had to slam dunk this, and I made sure I got every name right.
You know what was so
I
cool
remember
about that fight is that.
And that was a great turnout.
yeah.
Sean Gibbons was there,
Yeah.
who is profoundly one of the best manager promoters.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually in Philippines, and he posted a picture today, and I grabbed it and I posted it too, and,
Right.
and people are going crazy over it.
Right.
I'm gonna send it to you in a little while, KP, and then you can put it up there, and we'll see what people think. But I want to hear the rest of your story.
What's really cool about that fight is they came, and some fighters from Japan came.
Yeah.
And we exchanged T-shirts, and we did all this information. And I had a fighter that I trained for about a month, and he lives in Italy. And he called me. I have him on Facebook. He goes, "Hey, I seen you on ESPN in Italy." You know, because Australia and
Yeah.
Japan and the Philippines, and it was so cool that they seen Heartbeat Boxing down there. And so when the Japanese fighter, I forget his name, but when he came again the second time, and he fought at the same, he was on the undercard for Jose Ramirez.
Yeah.
And but his mother came, and they own a,
Yeah.
a gym in Japan, and she brought me a stack of shirts from their boxing club.
Wow,
and
that's
it was
cool,
so
man.
cool because
That is cool.
when they came, you know, they were really kind of hardcore. You know, they were just like they didn't know what to expect. And then I gave them a big old basket of fruit, you know, that a bunch of plums and
Yeah.
peaches, and their eyes opened up like they were so thankful that I had
Grateful.
Yeah, grateful that I gave them the fruit. But it just opened up a big old door of hospitality. And when they came again, they asked to come and train at our gym for that fight.
That's good stuff, man. Valentin, when you hear your dad, I mean, you know that he's just over the top. I mean, when
Oh,
he
yeah.
puts his mind to something, you've already accepted that. You don't stop and say, "Hey, Dad, not this time," or "Dad, don't do that," or you just let your dad be your dad.
Sometimes I let him be who he is, and then sometimes it's like, "Dad, you're tipping over just a little bit, just a little bit, not too much."
And what'd
just
your
a
dad say?
little
"No,
bit."
no, I got this."
Yeah, he said, "No, I got it under control," and then it goes a little bit more, and then it goes a little bit more, and I said, "You know, your dad, you calm it down a little bit, just a little
That's
bit.
right.
You're doing good, just a little bit. Hold on." But everything he says, I'll go for it. I'm all for it. Everything he hosts, everything he does.
Yeah.
I mean, what he says gets people going, brings people to the gym. I mean, we got the pound for pound Terrence Crawford there.
Yeah, twice.
Yep, and we got Jamel Herring there. We got
Yep.
Top Rank. We got all the other professional fighters at the Fight for Water there. We got all the other professionals everybody's talking about. And, I feel like some more will come with that as long as we're open in business. And, it all comes along with how he puts things together. And
Yeah.
what he does when he puts it together nice, oh, man, it comes
It's
out
on hit, right?
perfect. Yeah, it comes out great. And it's working.
It is
It's
working.
working.
And I want to talk to you about an event because, I always do my research before I have guests on the show.
Yeah.
And I guess you have an event coming up, and it's sponsored, what is it, by Horn Video or somebody, Horn's Camera?
Horn Photo.
What
Horn Photo.
event is going on there?
So we're gonna be hosting a party and There's gonna be photographers. There's gonna be our members there, and it's a themed party. We want everybody to come dressed up 70s
Oh, wow.
clothing.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be sparring one of my sparring partners. His name's Jonathan, and we're gonna be going.
So when you're in there sparring in 70s, you're gonna have the real shorts that are real up to the thigh, because that's what, with black shoes only back
That's
then.
right. I'm
and
gonna
with the
look for
gloves
those.
with the thumbs, the loose thumbs, because that's the way they kind of did it, right?
I might look into that. I'm gonna look into that. I'm gonna look into
Well,
the.
it's going to be a photo. Everything's going to be staged,
Staged.
and,
Okay.
and we're going to have ring girls. And
I'm liking it already.
They hired some models to come in, but we're also going to have some lowriders there and a 1930s car, so people can really get into
Oh,
the
wow.
pictures.
This is great.
And they're going to give them the pictures. They're going to
Yeah.
give them to you. We're going to have Woody Pena. You know Woody Pena?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
Madman. Oh,
yeah,
of course
yeah,
you know Woody.
yeah.
He's going to be DJing, doing
Back
the
in the day,
Funkmeister.
big props to Woody Pena. Back in the day, he was my engineer when I was at 1680 AM, The Answer.
Yeah.
And then Fighter's Voice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
back then.
he is he's an awesome DJ. He's gonna be playing some records, funk from the '70s, and it's just gonna be a really cool thing. And if you want to come out, just give us a call. We'll put you on our VIP list. It's gonna be members only, but we're allowing you to come on in and just give us your name, and we'll put you on a list, and you can come in. We're gonna have food there. And we're going to be selling a Frisco burger. It's one of my famous. I worked in a lot of restaurants, so this
Yeah.
burger is going to be really cool. And but we're going to have cars, and we're going to have a lowrider in the back. It's a 49 Fleetwood, and two lowriders, and they both got hydraulics, and they're all tricked out, but they're old school. And we want people to dress in the 70s cholo, and we're going to take pictures in the alley. We're going to have
KP, do you got a
bonfires.
hairnet or something?
Yeah.
You got a hairnet in that
Yeah.
that one brush? I'll
Yeah.
just throw it back there.
Yeah, there you go.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any 3 flowers, or if you have any khakis, any winos, or a stretch bout, or some starch, so I
There
can
you go.
starch it up, I mean, let me know, man. I
Yeah.
may attend. Just throw my hair back real quick. And
You know what's it about.
Yeah, you knew
said,
what
when
time
you
it
said
was.
3 flowers, you said it
Yeah,
right there.
you see, you didn't think
Yeah.
I had that in the
There you go.
in the
Yeah, I
repertoire.
got some-
I need to look back like about we'll give or take 30 years. I need to look back, go back.
should.
and I'm
But,
gonna see what's up.
But we're
Just look at your dad's closet. He got it going on.
I
I know
know,
he still got those hush puppies and Stacey Adams there.
Yeah,
That's
right.
I do. But you know,
Yeah.
we just want to create a theme party and for our members and just our special guests. But if you want to come on out, give us a call. And we just want
What
to have a
date
good
is that?
time. This is going to be January 30th,
January
and
30th.
it is a Thursday. And we're going to have sparring for about 2 hours. But there's going to be a lot of things. Chris Rivas, our neighbor, his daughter is a world champion racer, and she has they have the world record for the fastest bagger, the Harley Davidson.
Yeah.
And he's going to bring a couple of bikes over, and we're going to put them up as props, and you can take pictures with the world champion racer. And she's a female.
Gilbert, I've been in your facility. Where are you going to fit all this at?
It's going to be all in the front, the back, and the alley. We're
Okay.
opening it up. The alley is going to be
Okay.
open. There's going to be cars parked in the alley, and it's going to be all lit, and it's going to be a really cool thing.
You know what? You do a lot of cool things here in Fresno. I mean, I can go on and on, man. I mean, I know you're at River Park and you bring live sparring right there.
Right.
You bring entertainment. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a must. This is a Thursday. This isn't a Friday or a Saturday. This is a Thursday, bringing entertainment in Fresno, California, and making it happen, man.
Right. Thank you so much.
I mean,
Yeah.
Heartbeat Boxing is just not a gym. Heartbeat Boxing, just not a gym. You know what I mean?
That's not a gym.
Well,
That's right.
We have a venue, and it's called the Ring Event Center. So we've had a lot of fundraisers. We have boxing matches. I had a wedding in the ring. And,
Oh, my gosh, some hardcores right
And
there.
the ring girl was the daughter of the guy that got married, and it said last round. And that was such a cool thing. And,
Oh, yeah.
last
Yeah,
round.
exactly.
And we've had other weddings. We've had fundraisers there. We've had about 15 bouts there. We had the Golden Gloves. The Junior Olympics were held at my gym. And it was the first time. This was a history event. It was the first time the Golden Gloves were held. It was all 4 LBCs, were all 4 sections of California were at my gym. It was 6 days of boxing. And it was the first time that the Southern...
How long
the
ago was
Northern-
this?
This was in 2016.
Okay.
It was the first year that we were open, and we hosted the Golden Gloves, and it was a state championship, and it was a really cool event. A
lot of work.
Yeah. Oh, it was crazy.
yeah.
And then that year we had the Junior Olympics there.
So
and,
if people, if they're listening to this show and they want to rent out your facility, is it just boxing, or what else can you
No,
do there?
they-
What do you offer Fresno, California?
if they want to rent it out for a wedding or a private party, We printed out for by the hour. We've had Bollywood come out and they did a movie there. They rented the whole day. We've had Chachansey come out and do a commercial there. We've had fundraisers there for different events. We've had birthday parties there. We make a piñata. We put it right in the center of the ring, and everybody's jumping in over the ropes. And that
Nice.
was a really
That was
cool
my
thing.
birthday party.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
And then we're doing this thing for, and you can rent it by the hour. So
Yeah.
if you want a certain thing, party for a couple hours, you come on in and we just let you have at it for a couple hours. But there's just a lot of different things that go on there, and it's a really cool thing. We rent it for people that want to take photos.
Yeah.
We rented it out to different schools where they have.
Well, I know
the
there was a
king-
commercial that was shot there. I remember professional fighter Brian Lua.
Yeah,
I
you remember
believe,
that?
yes,
Yeah.
that commercial. Was it Tachi or Chachansey?
It was
The-
Chachansey.
yeah.
They were doing a promotion for
Yeah.
Fistful of Dollars, where they had boxing gloves,
Yeah.
a bunch of dollars came out.
Yeah.
But that was a really cool thing because they called me and they wanted a fighter without any tattoos. How
Yeah.
am I going to fight a fighter with no tattoos, right?
gosh.
And Brian was Big Al brought Brian, and he had one tattoo on his shoulder. So
Big Al Perez.
Yeah, they covered
Main
it
event.
up. Big shout out to Big Al, and they covered it up, and he was pretty clean cut. That's what they wanted. So,
Yeah.
But that was a
Kinda
really
that
cool
poster
thing.
boy.
Yeah. And just a lot of different things that we do. We've had a fundraiser. We had a Zumbathon there.
Yeah.
And about a couple hundred women showed up. And that was a really cool thing, too.
Yeah, I didn't get that invite.
Yeah.
On that
yeah.
one.
Well, you should
Yeah,
have, man.
I know. Now I'm hearing the untold story.
That was a really cool event.
See, your dad's cool, right? He'll drop some stuff on a podcast, but if you really want to hear it, because I just got the text, said, Richard, I'll give you the truth later on. Stop by the crib. Stop by the
You
pad.
come by, yeah.
Oh, that's
Richard
what's
came
up.
back by for Christmas, and
That's what's
it
up,
was,
man.
We called him up, and I said, "My door's open for you all anytime." And he showed up, and we sat around in my office. And
You were telling me about a piece of wood, but it was kind of haunted or something. You
Yeah,
go, Richard,
yeah.
I picked up this wood, man, on the ground. but it's, look at it, man. It's moving by itself. I go, no, I don't even want to see that stuff, man. I'm cool with
Yeah,
that. And
I'm
you
always-
told me the story when you were sober. So after a few, and you said it started moving, I don't even want to mess it. You still got that thing?
I do. We cleaned it
Yeah.
up, and it's a
Was it
relic.
moving or anything?
It's a relic, man. I just found it on the road. I as a kid growing up here in Fresno, I was raised in Fresno and went to high school in Sanger. But I used to go panhandle down at Chinatown and downtown Fulton Mall. We ditch school, and I'd wind up downtown panhandling.
Do you remember that store called Dickies in Chinatown?
I do. I used to buy my shoes there and hats. You remember Dick, the old man that worked, the Armenian guy? You'd walk in and he says, "What the hell you want? Are you buying anything?" And if you said,
Oh, man.
yeah, he was just straight out, man. He was crazy, man.
Yeah, well, I went with my sister. I didn't
Yeah.
hear anybody talk
Yeah.
like that. But I remember there was, if you wanted to go upstairs, I mean, they just, it was
Yeah,
one of
it
those
was
stores
cool.
back
And
in the day.
we went
They
to
don't make 'em like that no
There was
more.
a Holly Leaf, and there was about 4 stores downtown where we would buy our pants and
The Dickies there.
Dickies and our khakis, and it was all downtown, Chinatown.
Yeah.
And that was happening down there. It was happening back in
It
the day.
was.
Back in the day. But
It's still happening. Your gym is happening.
Well,
Valentino's happening.
we trained two of the owners of the Central Fish, right?
Okay.
And they've been private training with my son, and they want to throw a show downtown. They want to call it the Chinatown Throwdown, and they want to do it in the parking lot of Central Fish. And so
Oh, damn.
we've been talking, and so I'm trying to nail them down. So they want to get serious.
So you're owner, trainer / promoter.
Yeah, we
Cook.
We did a show for Kermit, the Chamber of Commerce. This is the
Yeah.
show that we invited you to, and I kind of didn't know exactly what they wanted,
Yeah.
and then, but one of the ladies that was the coordinator
Mm-hmm.
for the Chamber of Commerce, and we had a tough fight to do that because they didn't want us in town. I had a conversation with some of the leaders,
Yeah.
and they said, "Oh, boxing brings a bad apple. Might be a riot." I go, "What are you talking about?"
Oh, my
And
gosh.
I said, "I've been involved with this thing for 40 years." I go, You're talking to the wrong person." And they go, "Wow." I go, "Where do you get your data? Show it to me."
Yeah.
And I left them with nothing. And I said, this brings people together, man.
does.
This is competition. They sing the stars, the national anthem, and this is Olympic-style boxing, and it's very
And the
professional.
fighters are respectful. They respect
Yes.
the judges, and at the end, the opponents take pictures together. I mean,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
I hear you on that. And those are people that are, I don't want to say negative. They're naive,
Right.
even ignorant.
Yeah.
Because they hear only of the aftermaths or different. They watch YouTube or
Yeah.
they think everybody's that way. And no, it's called the sweet science. It's a beautiful sport.
If you
Yeah.
if you go to the USA Boxing website, there's a table on there where it shows where boxing matches in the United States, all
Yeah.
over the United States, and there's a fight almost every single weekend, 2 or 3 fights everywhere in the United States, and I'm talking some big productions. You've seen some stuff here,
Yeah.
but you go to New York or Wisconsin
Sure.
or in Texas, and they're throwing
Bulgaria.
they're selling out these big old venues, and it's huge.
Yeah.
And so, in Seattle, downtown Seattle, there's 15 clubs downtown Seattle. There's one club that has 100 registered fighters that are white books in Seattle. It's crazy.
I'm glad you brought that up. Talking about clubs. What I do want to talk about, how about the other clubs at Fresno? They're very respectful and they're competitive as well. I mean, is there ever any friction, or you seem to get along with everybody that's participating in
there's-
Fresno?
Well, there's 3 clubs right now that are competing, that are at all the shows. One is Frank Aliman.
Yeah, he's very
And
active.
Frank Aliman is very active. He has a lot of ranked fighters. I think he has about 10 fighters that are ranked right now in USA Boxing. Frank's been around for about 15 years, and Frank is our president of our association. He's a really cool guy, but you know what? I'm gonna tell you something with him. A lot of people don't understand Frank, but Frank is he's the one that's taking those kids, and he's taking them all over the United States. And if you go to his website or his Facebook page, you'll see him traveling.
Yeah.
And you'll see him taking kids to see monuments and history. You talk about history,
Yeah.
this guy loves history, and he loves showing it to the kids. And that's what is. And if you're out there and you're listening to this and you have some money and you want to donate it, call up Frank, donate it right there, because he is the man that is taking those kids. Another team that is out there is Dethrone, and Dethrone is one of our competitors, and they have a team that is called Marquitos Boxing.
Yeah, Jenna Creason competes
Yes,
in that. yeah.
exactly. And Marcos is he's a good friend of mine, and I met Marcos when he came to Sanger with Hector Ledezarga. Hector was training at ringside, and his sparring partner got stabbed, right? While he was in the ring.
Oh, my
and
God.
and so the guy that stabbed him got arrested, and they took him out. And the next day, the owner of ringside bailed him out. I guess he was a family friend. So when Hector went to go train, he says, "What's this fool doing here, man? He just stabbed my partner." And they wouldn't kick him out. So he came to Sanger, and he trained at my gym for about a month.
Yeah.
And in Sanger, but that's when I met Marquitos. And Marcos, he's been involved with boxing for about 15 years. He has Jesus Haro. He's his trainer, and
Haro brothers.
Yeah, yeah. And so we're trying to. Jesus is going to go pro this year. They've been saying, but we're trying to set up a fight with Val. He's number 1 ranked right now at USA Boxing. Val is number 5. And so the guy that he beat for the championship is the guy that Val lost to. And
Okay,
so,
wait, hold on a second. We're talking about
that's it. Jesus Haro.
Jesus Haro, who just won
national.
several tournaments.
Yeah.
They're in the same weight class.
The same weight class.
So Val wants to compete with him.
Yeah, we want to fight him before he goes pro.
Before he goes pro. Okay, I like that. I can see that
Yeah,
theory, because
yeah.
once he goes pro, and you
That's
still want to compete at
Yep.
amateurs.
And then
before
when
you
I
make-
go pro, we're
Yeah.
gonna meet again.
Yeah, there you go. Well, he actually is Val's first fight. We fought at
Oh, okay.
we had a show at the UFC gym, and it was not a sanctioned event.
Yeah.
It was just a sparring event.
Yeah,
And
like a friendly.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that was his first fight. Val was a year younger,
Yeah.
and he was a year older. He had already been competing, and so, but he has about 100, 150, 120 fights.
Yeah.
All the guys he's competing with right now have about 150, 120 fights. And I personally think that's too many fights for kids that are that age. But it's pretty much right on there.
Yeah.
But he has only 40 fights. And he's competing with these kids that have a whole lot more
I
fight
like your approach with this. I mean, because I'll hear some people sour grapes say, "Oh, I want to beat that kid because my kid can beat that kid." I like the incentive where, because iron sharpens iron, and
Yeah.
that's how you get better. That's how you compete. That you want to take on this tough youngster before he turns pro. I
Yeah.
like that. I really do like that, man.
Well, because, USA Boxing is very safe.
Yeah.
Okay? Those refs, there's a ref could stop the fight. The doctor could stop the fight. I can stop the fight.
Yeah.
And I've stopped fights before. I've seen kids get in there, and I throw a towel in, and I said, "Why do you want to get the kid beat up? Why do you want to break his spirit?" And then let him blame you. Hey,
Yeah.
I didn't want you to fight him. and you can stop the fight. But
Yeah.
so many people put so much emphasis. This is little league.
Yeah.
This is soccer.
Exactly.
And we put so much, you know, and I get these trainers and coaches. They put so much junk in these kids. Well, you lost that fight. Who cares? He's in there competing.
I've been in them dressing rooms.
Yeah.
I've been around that stuff.
And they put too much
it
pressure
exists.
on these kids. And it's not about that. It's
Mm-hmm.
about them showing up. They compete. They become friends with their opponent. And these friendships last forever.
Yep.
You know, forever. And some will go pro, but 99% of them will never
Yeah.
go pro. They never will. And they never have the chance because, like I said, it's called
Well, I
economics.
mean, back in the day, exactly. But it does teach you a discipline, life lessons,
Yeah.
insight, and just some natural toughness. As if to say, if your son ever has to do something and he's worried about it, he can say to himself, man, I've been in the ring with the toughest guys. This is nothing.
Yeah.
I can go do this job interview, or I can go study for this exam in my college course. This is nothing. I've been in the ring with some of the toughest guys around. So he can kind of say to himself and use it as an example, another life lesson. A lot of people, when they hear about boxing or the sweet science, it gets a black eye.
Yeah.
But you know what? There's a lot of Oscar De La Hoyas out there that's a clean-cut act. There's a lot of Jose Ramirez's out there who's a champion inside and outside of the ring and continue to share his purse with the masses. Not only
Right.
giving back to Avenal, but those in general. And sometimes when he gives back, you know, which is his time, is more valuable than opening up your checkbook.
Time is way more. 'Cause you'll never get it back.
Absolutely.
You'll never get. We went to Compton this last week. I took 5 kids to Compton, state champions. They're Central California. We went to compete there. We stayed there for 4 days, and you know, and I was there for 4 days in
See
Compton.
Snoop Dogg just chilling or something
Well,
like
you
that?
know what? It's so cool because there's nothing really around Compton to see.
Yeah.
But we did go to the Watts Tower, and
Oh, there you
nobody
go.
knew about it.
Yeah.
I knew about it because I'm pretty much a history buff. But we went down there and we were hanging out in the hood.
Yeah.
And it's kind of scary, you know.
Were you there, Valentin?
Yeah, I was. This was the first day that we went. We went to Compton, and I didn't go the second time because we were open at the gym. It was
Yeah.
the first day open. They were like, "No, you have to stay with your brother, watch the gym." I was like, "Okay," but the first day it was pretty cool. Those towers, they were really interesting. The way
Yeah.
the guy constructed it was like they were real tall with like little pieces of glass, and he had a couple of soda bottles and soda beer cans in there. It was really interesting. And then they were doing construction on the actual tower. It was all wrapped up in like what do you call, like a cloth or something?
Yeah.
And it was black, and you could barely
Like maybe
see
a tarp.
Yeah, something like that. And you could barely see, like, whoa, this guy spent like 30 years of his life trying to build something for his wife. And you read the stories on the fence, you read his whole
Yeah.
story. And it's really interesting. Like, he really dedicated his 40 years of his life just to build something to please his wife. I'm just like, wow, that's
Yeah, that's desire right there.
Exactly.
That man's driven. Hey, right off the bat, how old are you?
16.
16.
Yeah.
Okay.
He just turned 16 and
16 going on 21.
Yeah,
huh?
That's right.
But he helps out at the gym. He's homeschooled.
Yeah.
Because he's a traveling in tournaments.
Yeah,
Helps
I
a
can see
lot.
that.
And so we're going March. We're going to the U.S. Championship in Reno. It's the Western qualifier.
March what?
And March the 25th, I believe. But But there's 3 tournaments that he has to be in every year.
Yeah.
One, he wants to try to go to the Olympics in 2024, and
goal.
so he wants to be an Olympian before he goes pro. And I told him, I go, so you have 4 years. Those 4 years, he's got to go to 3 tournaments and he has to qualify. One
Okay.
is the Western qualifier, the Eastern qualifier, which is in the East Coast. The Western is in the West Coast, and it's usually in Reno. And then the PAL. Those 3 tournaments will help him keep his ranking. And so what he wants to do is to become number 1 so he can make a national team and then travel. And he'll be traveling with the U.S. team at 101. And so the thing is, the key is to keep him at 101 for as long as we possibly can. And he's growing.
Well, those are good goals, man.
Yeah.
I like that. You know what? I know you got involved in boxing. You know, your dad
Yeah.
had a big influence. But who influences you as far as today? Like what professional or who started to influence you coming up? And maybe now somebody else kind of pushes you and drives you just by you being motivated by watching them.
Yeah. Well, when I was young, my dad was always into the old boxers, and
Yeah.
he taught me to, like, you know, if you look back, you could use it now. And some people, they don't even look back. Oh, look at Mayweather, look at Pacquiao, look how they're training. But if you look back, then you can see what can dismantle them. But one boxer I looked up to was Salvador Sanchez. He has an amazing style, like on the outside. It's just like, bow, right there on the outside, punching, and tagging these guys, and they're not even touching him. You know, he gets out of the fights, and he's like, oh, barely got in the ring.
Yeah.
But he's one of the boxers I looked up to when I was young.
Daniel Little Red Lopez twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And he was a great boxer. And then my dad told me that he had died, and I was like, wow, such a young age. And I read about his story, how he died. I was like, man, that's some crazy
You
stuff
know what?
right there.
You know these cars, and you know anything can happen, and you know that I truly believe. You know, of course, God had His hand on Spence.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the video, and I'm thinking, my gosh, I mean, and the man is still able to walk and talk, and you know, we're all waiting for him to compete again.
Right.
But you got to be careful, man. You never promise tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Freddie Roach shared a story with about Salvador Sanchez. Remember when we went to his gym in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And he wasn't there, but we're talking to
Who's Marie?
Freddie Roach.
Yeah, no,
gym.
but who was there? Who was Marie there when he went up?
I think
No. Who? Marie?
the lady in the front desk.
yeah.
Yeah, I
she
believe
was
so.
there. She came with him after, but
Yeah.
we were there and we seen one of the fighters that fought Triple G. What was it in the Nightmare?
Marty
Vanes.
Tarosian.
Okay.
I forgot his
Vanes.
first name.
Vanes.
Vanez.
Yeah.
Marty Tarosian. But he was there, and I was like, hey, we went to go see him fight Triple G at StubHub. Remember? My mom and my dad were there, like, is that him? I said, yeah, that's him. Let's go say hi. And then he remembered me. He was like, hey, how's it going? And right when we were talking to him, Freddie Roach walks in the door, and everybody's like, hey, there's Freddie Roach. And we started talking. And
Nice guy.
Yeah.
he's a real nice guy. Here's a cool part. We were on the top floor, and he was like, hey, guys, I want to show you something. I want to show you the gym we made for Manny Pacquiao. So he went downstairs, went into the room, and he has all these pictures.
Has the lock on it.
Yeah, and he has the belt with his name on the badge. I'm like, wow, this is where all the action, the news, the pictures, videos, and I was like, this is
Very
crazy.
hospitable. Very, very hospitable. But
Oh, yeah.
Class act.
yeah, the guy that the Nightmare is an Armenian guy, and when he was gonna fight Triple G, the guy that one of his promoters, one of the guys that sponsored him, made all his gear, was our guy that made all our gear for our gym. His name is Nazo Boxing. He's an Armenian, and he makes the best bags and gloves and all custom. He made all of Mayweather stuff. You see the bags that he has, those like green. He made all those bags. Nazo Boxing, but it was a really cool thing getting involved with the backside of boxing. You know, the equipment. You know, I get calls from all these glove makers from Pakistan and from that's where all the gloves you see, they're made there.
Yeah.
And it's a really cool thing getting on the other side of it, the manufacturer side, and it
Behind the scenes.
You guys live and breathe boxing.
that's it.
Yeah.
That's
Period.
It. That's it. We live it, we breathe it, and that's our business.
Well, let's talk about the true champion. Let's talk about the one who's making it possible, the one who allows all this to happen. And I'm talking about the undisputed, the queen who runs the house. I met your wife, and you know what? She can be a tough person.
Oh, I know.
She makes sure,
yeah.
she'll, excuse me, no, you need to sign here, or no, hold on a second. And she just made sure every T gets crossed and every I dotted.
Well, when
Yeah.
Terrence Crawford came in, she made
Yeah.
him sign a waiver.
Oh, wow, there you are.
And he signed a waiver, and all the guys. But you know what it is that you know, people come into our gym. You know, Alberto Del Rio, the owner of Combates America, he came to the gym, and he brought his
Big dude.
dad.
Oh, yeah.
And I was on the East Coast. We were in where were Utah?
Salt Lake City,
Salt
Utah,
Lake City,
for the Nationals.
And we're there, and she sends me this picture, and this guy with no shirt on with his arm around my wife. And I said, what the hell is this guy doing with his arm around my wife, right?
Oh, wow.
And I
Said,
was like,
"Excuse me."
And we found out, I had to Google who he was, but the guy is legit.
Yeah.
And so he invited us out to dinner after the fight at the Save Mart Center. And he had like 7 guys, entourage, all bodyguards, all killers, right? They're just watching him.
Bunch of dogs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
big.
we sat there drinking coffee till like 2 in the morning, man. And
That's good stuff there,
yeah,
man.
and we were just sharing stories, and it was a really cool thing. The guy is really down to earth, and you know, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I'm sitting here with the elite from Mexico, man. These guys are
right.
legends.
Exactly. And, you know, Mike Efromowicz, I mean, Vice President of Copa Combate Americas, man.
yeah.
Nice guy, down to earth,
Yeah.
makes things happen, business guy, and very knowledgeable about the sport, about the industry, and the business. That is a man that you want to keep close to you, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a super good, cool dude, too,
Yeah,
down to earth.
Yeah, we are working like, you know, Jasper Tavaya.
yeah.
He has a camp down the street from me, so he comes and he brings boxers to come and fight, train.
Yeah.
Billy Evangelista, I just seen him today. He's a really good friend of mine, and we work together. You know, it's just a small world, and here in Fresno, a lot of the fighters, kickboxers, jiu-jitsu guys,
Muay Thai.
it's a mutual respect.
Yeah.
And
That's
I
good.
love that. I mean, sometimes we might not agree on certain fighting styles, but we all agree on one thing.
Well, I've got to ask you this before we go off the air right now. This Saturday, okay? Because if you love boxing, you just love combat sports anyways.
Oh, yeah.
Conor McGregor, Cowboy Cerrone. Who do you have and why?
McGregor. I got McGregor because, you know, his training style, it is different, but it's not far off like as a boxer. Like he tags you, like when he's fighting, he switches off to box, started off with boxing, and then when you least expect it, you're already on the ground getting tapped out. You know, I believe he can win. I mean, he's training hard. I see his videos, follow him on Instagram. But his training style, it's different, and I think Cowboy, he's more like on the opposite side of McGregor. McGregor's all stand up, but I think Cowboy wants to get him out fast because McGregor can put pressure on him. He tells knows when he put it on, take it off, put it on, take it off. And he's real cocky, and I like that. And he's going to make him mad, and Cowboy's going to make a mistake, and McGregor's going to nail him. Boom. I got to bet on that
you
fight.
Are there. Who do you have, Pops, on that fight?
I have McGregor. I'm a fan. And, you know, I think that he has got a lot of proof. He's got a lot of weight on his shoulder, and he's got to prove that he can
All the
deliver.
greats have weight on their shoulder.
And right now, he's got, you know, he was on his way out, and I thought he was going to be done for him.
Yeah.
You know, all the controversy, all the bullshit that he was going through.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, when I used to be a limo driver in Vegas, right? So I would drive all these fighters and all these celebrities around, and their head is so full of shit. You know what I mean? And sometimes that shit spills out into these little scuffles that he's going through.
Yeah.
And that's what that is. That's just a brain fart. That's all that is.
Yeah.
You know, and so now he's got to legitimize himself.
Yeah.
And it's like he's fighting for his first world title again. And I think that, you know, all the greats did it. Muhammad Ali had a lot to prove to win the world title 3 times.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a comeback. And I'm hoping that he wins. I'm hoping he has enough in that box of his in his head to win, pull through. And I think that if he does it, he'll be one of the greats, and he'll go down as one of the greats.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
I agree with you, and you know what? Cerrone's no pushover, and my take is I'm pushing for Conor McGregor. I'm a fan of his. I'm a follower. I like what he stands for.
Yep.
He gets a lot of bad publicity, but if
Yeah.
you watch his in-depth videos, he gives respect. Like I was watching a video today, and he calls Nate. What do you call him? Nathan. He goes, Nathan and Nick Diaz brothers. It was an honor to share the cage with him. He goes, I would love to do it again. He goes, I got nothing but respect for the brothers. And he goes on, because you hear him at a press conference because he's a showman, he's a salesperson, he's a promoter, and you pay to see him get beat. Nevertheless, he puts seats in the stadiums or in coliseums, wherever he's at.
Fills it up.
But at the end of the day, he's just a human being.
Yep.
He made good for himself. At one time, he was a plumber, and he was going to give MMA up completely until he got the phone call. So I am pulling for Conor McGregor. I see him with a second-round knockout.
Yep.
Real quick, we want to go to the gym. We want to follow you. How do we follow you? Are you on Instagram?
Yeah.
Let everybody know.
Come to our website. It's www.heartbeatboxing.com. And you can just come down to 155 Van Ness. The easiest way is just Google Heartbeat Boxing, and we're going to pop up and give you all our information.
Oh.
But come on out. We're open at 6 in the morning. I wanted to create a gym that will cater to the fighter. So we open at 6 in the morning. We close at 9 o'clock at night. We have showers, and it's a really cool, clean gym. And you do your thing, and as long as you don't get in anybody's way, you're welcome. Once you start having problems,
Bawera.
yeah.
That's right.
Okay, my man. Valentino,
All right.
how do we follow you? Do you have an Instagram? Do you have a Facebook? Because I was trying to look at you. I'm look for you on Instagram. I wanted to tag you today.
Yeah, I
And
have,
when's your next fight? Let everybody
Oh.
know real quick before we go.
next two fights I have is February 8th at Frank Aliman Gym, and my next national is in Reno, March 21st to the 28th. It's a national in Reno, and I have an Instagram, no Facebook. I did, but Instagram, you can follow me at backup_Tino.
Why don't you have one?
Because don't ask me that.
Oh, that's a
question.
whole different show. That's when we'll come back for part 2.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank our guests for making time, because actually he was going to teach a class. He was going to get back, but he wanted to come here. He made the time, and I wanted to get him in here in first of the year, and that's Mr. Gilbert Reese. He does a lot for Fresno, does a lot for the community, boxing, and the human life itself. And young Valentino El Tigre Reese.
me.
He's going to be competing February 8th in Fresno, California, Alamon Boxing Gym, and also he'll be going to, what is it, the qualifiers, the nationals afterwards?
Yeah, the nationals
In Reno.
In Reno, March 21st to the 28th.
Hey, I appreciate everybody in Fresno, California. As always, it's a wrap here in Fresno, California. Every fighter has a voice, and so do you.
That's
It's a
right.
wrap. Thumbs up for Richie.
Okay, fight fans, it's not goodbye, but until next week.
Remember,
It's always voiceography at its finest. So on behalf of Richard Ortiz, Cole Escovedo, the special guests, and all the crew right here at the Kick-Ass Podcast, saying hasta luego, babies. And always, thanks for listening.